Alright. Christ. This was a game, wasn't it? I'm gonna preface this by saying that I'm probably not gonna be streaming for a long time today. Probably gonna wrap this up as soon as possible. My phone popping off with the Discord as usual. Let me just do my routine checks as always. Let's get my chat out as well because it hasn't popped out again. Of course it hasn't. This was in general just a very typical Chelsea versus Liverpool game, Anfield. Pretty much same thing we kind of always see, where it's two evenly matched teams going at it, and then the game is ruined by a refereeing decision or an injury or something like that. And you can probably tell I'm not in a good mood. I'm not going to pretend to be in a good mood. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, and I've got more things in the bad box than I do in the good or medium box today. And I'm just gonna, if you're expecting to join this stream or to watch, if you're watching on the VOD, if you're expecting me to be positive and optimistic like I usually am, forget about it. It's not happening. This game has pissed me off. It really has, and yeah, I'm to be honest, yeah, it's just put me in a really terrible mood, but I don't want to leave you guys without a feeling blue. And yeah, we'll hit the intro. Let's just get straight into this. As I said, I don't want to stream for too long today. And yes, I am a little bit early. I just want to get this over and done with, if I'm being perfectly honest. Where is the... there we go. Lads, lasses, and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC, and welcome to Season 2 of Feeling Blue. Let's go. Aye, you say you know too many Liverpool supporters. My dad was one. Luckily, he's no longer with us, so can't be teased about that. But there we are. Yeah, let's get into the Feeling Blue. As always, I've got my 7 points, and they are very distributed, very end to end. There's nothing going in the medium. I've got a few things that are going in the good box. The majority of things are going in the bad box. But I do want to kind of address the game in general. I think that for the first 35 minutes, I think we played very, very well. I think we weathered the storm that Liverpool kind of came back with in the first half. I think that certain decisions didn't go our way and they got an advantage because of that. We managed to get ourselves back into the game, and just again, just a weird thing that always seems to happen against Chelsea is that these just absolute nobodies just turn up against us and just become absolute world beaters overnight. There is no right, and this is a compliment by the way, there is no realm in this earth that Curtis Jones should be having a man of the match performance like that. Like, there's no realm on this earth that he should be doing that against Chelsea, and he just has. And it's just, why does it always happen to us? Whether it be Kelleher turning into Prime Neuer, or Curtis Jones turning into Lampard, or to be honest, it was more of a Yaya Toure type in this game, or just like, I don't know. It's just a weird thing where these players that are usually not the best player on the pitch just turn into the best player on the pitch. But yeah, let's go from... I do want to end this on a positive note, so I'm not entirely negative. So let's start with the bads. The first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking accountability for my team, because I don't want rival fans in my comments being really, really cringe and weird, saying, why are you blaming the referees, and all that shit. So before I do that and I start yelling about the referees, let's take some accountability. Let's talk about the players that I don't think did well, and talk about some other things that I don't think went well. The first thing going in this bad box, as you could probably tell, is going to be Robert Sanchez, because what the fuck was this guy on today? Genuinely, I praised him in my preview because he had a really, really good performance, but you cannot be playing for a club like Chelsea and be this inconsistent. It's just really, really bizarre. It's so weird that he can go from having a stellar game and being basically unstoppable and unpenetrable in goal to being one of the worst goalkeepers I think I've ever watched in this game. Like, I don't think he completed a single pass. Genuinely, I don't think a single long pass, let's say that. I think they was really, really dodgy. Obviously, he gave away the penalty, which was initially, obviously, eventually overturned. I think he could have done better, if I'm being honest, for Curtis Jones's goal. I think that he wasn't sharp enough to get out to him, because I think he was expecting the offside flag to go up and wasn't being proactive. And in general, he just made our back line be so nervous and be so jittery and so uncomfortable, because and it's the thing, right? Because especially when you're playing away from home, you cannot be having these moments where you're being shaky, because every single time you receive the ball, the home crowd are going to go, oh, as soon as the ball comes towards you, and try and put you off, and it just makes it so difficult to do what we need to do, and that's play out. Again, I'm really not sure why we get to see Sanchez play every single week rather than Jurgensen. I think Jurgensen has looked pretty much way more comfortable on the ball every time we've seen him. Admittedly, he's played against worse teams, but I digress. You can't really say that he hasn't been playing well. And I think this part of the reason why our backline in general today wasn't very good just was because of Sanchez just being so nervous and just being a bit erratic, as he usually is. I think that's a very good way of putting it as well, because I usually say this about people. He's the Raheem Sterling of goalkeepers. Yeah, I think that's a quote from me before. Yeah, but again, I just think I needed to point it out. I think Sanchez was. You need to have that solid base at your team to kind of settle things and calm people down. I think that he just made our whole backline really, really nervous, and it just allowed Liverpool to have so much more freedom when they attacked us, because everyone was kind of running out of position. People were having to make recovery runs for short passes that weren't the right weight, or having to make up ground because they've had to react and quickly play a pass and things like that. It just sets off a domino effect of terrible passing, and we were lucky that we weren't punished more in this game because of it. I'll move him over because I'm going to talk about another bad here. I did briefly mention our backline there, and this is one of the players in that, and I'm singling out one player just because he made the mistake, in my opinion, for the goal that happens, or he's one of the main players that made a mistake for the goal that happens with Jones. But this is just a general point for the defense as a whole. But I'm going to be singling out Tosin Adarabioyo because I think he was genuinely really, really poor today. He never really seemed comfortable, and it's annoying because we've seen him play in that right-sided role and he seemed quite comfortable. We've seen him play in this central role that he played today and he's looked more comfortable, and it's frustrating for him to be put in this central role where he's got to be so important and he's got to be the one to break the lines and things like that, and he just doesn't show up. It really, really bugs me. I can't believe I've just turned to my chat and I've just seen that sentence. But yeah, this is as a whole. This is for the defense as a whole, because I think we were just not very defensively good. Part of that is down to the management, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. But I don't think Adarabioyo had a very, very good game, and I think that it's him switching off and allowing Jones to run off the back of him that gets them their goal and gets them the win. So that's why I've kind of pointed him out specifically. But this is just a point for our backline as a whole, because we really did not defend well today. Reece James was getting run over by Gakpo, which we don't often see, which again, it's not really his fault. He's being rushed into this game. Like I said, a lot of people in the comments said he wouldn't play. I knew he would. We seem to have this weird thing going on where players are getting rushed back from injury very quickly. I don't know if that's just because their recovery is doing better than it was last season, but there we are. I think I say this, I do want to quickly point out that I think Colwill was pretty decent. I think that I put this on Twitter, I feel really sorry for Colwill because he just gets bozo centre back partners no matter where he plays, and it's just like yeah, I feel so sorry for him because he's supposed to be this. We saw how good he was at Brighton, we saw how good of a ball playing centre back he can be and how good of a stalwart defender he can be, and he just seems to be like left out to dry by pretty much everyone else. I think Fofana has been a pretty decent partner for him, admittedly, for the majority of the time, but he does have his bozo moments too. Let's talk about the final bad, and then no, actually, you know what? I'm going to move into a good. Let's get some positives. I'm going to be giving a good to a player that did not play very long in the game, but I think deserves his credit because he came off of the bench and he was by far the best player for the rest of that time that after he came on. It's Pedro Neto. This guy was really, really good off the left wing, which is surprising because that's not really the position he's supposed to be playing. He's supposed to be playing on the right wing, and even though he did shift over there on the right wing, and he nearly got an assist for Nkunku right at the end, and I really wish he would have because he deserved a goal contribution today. He didn't get it. Neto was really, really good, driving at players, coming inside, trying to go around Trent Alexander-Arnold and getting the better of him on numerous occasions. He was really, really, really good, and it's kind of a shame that we didn't play into him more. And I haven't actually got him as one of my points, but also excuse the neighborhood dogs if you can hear them barking in the background. But I didn't get to mention him in one of these points, but I do want to quickly give a shout out to Madueke on the other side, because Madueke again was another one of those players where he was really, really good today, but we just didn't give him the ball in the right positions enough. And it's just kind of frustrating because it's like, oh, we could have had so much more success on both wings if we just gave the wingers the ball and said, you know what, go forward, go forward. I don't think Sancho, and I'm not going to talk about Sancho too much, I don't think he had the greatest game, but I don't think he really had the same kind of level of drive and the same level of fear putting into his fullback as we saw from Neto in this game. And it's kind of a shame that Mudryk wasn't on the bench, because I was crying out for him all game. I was saying, why are we not playing Mudryk for this game? He is the perfect player to play against Liverpool because they play such a high line, because Trent is so suspect defensively, because he can cut inside and shoot, like things like that. It's so frustrating that he wasn't on the bench there, because I felt like this was a game where Mudryk could have come on and made a real impact. But luckily, Neto came on and made a similar, if not a better, impact than Mudryk would have. Let's talk about someone else that's good, and someone I thought kind of went a little bit under the radar because of how good Lavia was. And again, I'm not putting Lavia in just because he didn't play the full 90. I think Lavia was very, very good, and I'm going to say that here. But I'm going to be putting in his partner, and that's Caicedo. This guy is just good every single time he plays, and he obviously gets the all-important assist for Jackson's goal to get us back into the game before inevitably they got back into it 76 minutes later. He was all over the place, all over the shop, and having to make up for the fact that we basically had a very disjointed midfield, which again I'll talk about in a bit. I've also just realised that I've neglected to put in one player in my 7 points, and he was like the central focus of what I was going to talk about today. So we're actually going to have 8 points because I completely forgot he existed for some reason. I'm going to move him in a second if my thing would stop lagging. I'm going to move him under my okay, the whiteboard has decided not to agree with me, so there we go. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But yeah, I think he was all over the place as usual, making the passes, breaking the lines, and in general just being Caicedo. Like, I think that he was very, very good in terms of being able to snap into tackles and be the one that can kind of actually break up play, because our midfield was just getting played around just completely. Because I said this would happen as well. I was talking about Ryan Gravenberch in my preview and how good he would play, and I think Curtis Jones kind of took that role a little bit more in this game, and he was kind of being the one to like bully our midfield. In general, I think our midfield got completely bullied, but I think I can give Caicedo props for just being the one that kind of wasn't dog shit, if I'm being honest. And let's go into the last point. Should I talk about... I'm going to make this like a joint point, and this has just gone out of sync. One sec. Oh my god. Could my thing not be weird today? That'd be great. I'm already in a bad mood, and this is just trying to piss me off more. There we go. So, the next player I'm going to be putting into the bad box is Malo Gusto. And I think, genuinely, Malo Gusto, this was probably the worst game he has ever played for us. He was really, really poor today, and I'm not just talking about not contributing defensively or not contributing offensively. I just think in general he just seemed so off the pace in comparison to every other player on the pitch, and part of that is because of the position he was playing, and it's another reason why I'm going to be putting Maresca into the bad box today. And I'm objective. I do like to give him praise when he sets us up well, but he did not set us up well today. And oh man, I said this as soon as I saw the lineup. I said it was weird. I said, I don't know why we're playing Gusto as a left back. It's just really, really odd. I don't know why we didn't just play Vega, who is a natural left back. I think this is just a weird thing of him forcing Gusto into the lineup when he didn't need to play. If you wanted Gusto to play, you could have just played him at a right back and just not played James and given him an extra rest. I think that, yeah, exactly. If Reece is in Gusto's position, maybe he scores if he came on late on rather than starting. I think that we have a scenario. We have so many scenarios where the ball goes out to Sancho in the first half, and Gusto makes this underlapping run, but he just can't be used because he's right-footed in that position. And we have two right-footers on the left side for some reason. We have two left-footers on the left side, or two left-footers on the right side, and it's just really frustrating because it's a waste of a position. Because why don't we, and I said this on Twitter again, why don't we in this game, we could have just played, if we wanted to play James, we could have just played Vega as the left back, let him play as that left centre back and have that back three, and let James invert on the right side, be in that Gusto position where he can get up the pitch and create and be that deadly player, because he can do that. James is a much better offensive player than Gusto is, just by hands down. So it's really weird that we saw this kind of prioritization to play James as a centre back. And again, maybe I did mention this in my preview, maybe it was load management, maybe it was like we didn't want to give James too much to do in his first game. Maybe it was because we were afraid of their left wing for some reason, even though Luis Diaz wasn't playing. I'm not sure, but I just don't think Maresca got it right from the start, and we kind of wasted a half trying to figure things out. We get the goal back, obviously, in the second half very quickly, and it felt like, cool, we can actually push on. And just before we make the substitutions and get Vega onto the left back spot, which I think Vega played very, very well when he came on. I think that he played very, very well, was up to the challenge of battling and trying to rile up Darwin Nunez. I think it was quite funny, but and we saw how well we kind of played once that happened, and it's a shame because literally it was like genuinely about 90 seconds before we get those substitutions on, we concede, we go behind, and then it's just all for nothing because we can't really build off of the momentum that we gained from Jackson getting his goal. And that's who I'm going to be putting into the good box. The last player I'm going to be putting in here is Nicholas Jackson, because him scoring was the only thing about this game that actually made me happy. The rest of this was absolutely, like, just awful. The rest of this game was really, really bad, and I didn't really want to talk about it, if I'm being honest, but Jackson at least gave us some hope, showed that even when he has a relatively quiet game in the first half, I don't think he was receiving the ball enough, in truth, he can still come up with goals and get his goal. And the finish is sublime. I love the finish. The pass from Caicedo, exquisite. Very happy with those two combining. And now let's get into the final thing, because let's just talk about the referees real quick, because I said at the top of this episode, I'm not going to be in a good mood. I'm not going to be sugarcoating and being, oh, everything's good. I'm not being reactionary. I'm being objective. The referees were fucking terrible today. Our team playing was terrible today. This was anyway our biggest fucking game of the season so far, and we didn't turn up. And that pisses me off the most, right? And because I'm annoyed because we get the silly penalty decisions, which we'll talk about, that impact the game and impact the scoreline. But it's a thing, and that's the reason why I'm going to talk about the referees a little bit here, but I'm just addressing a comment. We weren't good enough today as a team, and it just frustrates me because this is, again, as I said, this was a big game. It's the chance for us to prove that we are top dogs in the division. We're not just a team that's going to stomp all the little teams. We can actually compete with teams like Liverpool, like City, like Arsenal, like the Aston Villas of this league, and we didn't show up. We really didn't. But again, as I say that, there's the caveat of what I said at the top of this episode, is that this was a very typical game at Anfield for Chelsea, where we come to Anfield, we have a very evenly matched team, a seemingly evenly matched game with Liverpool, but they just get one up on us every single time. Every single time we always get one up, and whether that's, again, as I said, an injury or a terrible refereeing decision or something, they always get one up on us, and they always will either win, like they have in the previous 3 cup finals, or just get that point and frustrate us. They get the goal back, and it's the type of draw which we're feeling defeated rather than they're feeling defeated, or a loss like this one. Let's talk about some of the refereeing in this game, because yeah, I'm just gonna talk about some facts. Firstly, I'm not debating their penalty. I think their penalty is a penalty. I think it's soft, but I think it's very soft, the penalty that they are given, but I don't mind that being given as a penalty, as long as ours is given as a penalty as well. because it's the exact same challenge, if not worse, from Trent Alexander-Arnold stamping on Sancho's foot. It's apparently, so I thought, because we had no mention of it on commentary, I thought that it wasn't checked by VAR. I genuinely thought it wasn't checked by VAR, and that would have made me frustrated, but it would have been understandable. Like, okay, cool, they missed it, sure. People miss things. But then to go on Twitter and see that we get a report that they did look at that, and they said that it wasn't a penalty, that's annoying. Now, that's really frustrating, because that's not ignorance, that's maliciousness, because that is the exact same situation. The Salah one as well, they have the claim... this is the thing, right? And I spoke about this. When you play at a big stadium like Anfield, you're never going to get decisions that go your way because the crowd influences the referees. And I think it's a real big issue in England specifically. I think it's a really bad issue that the referees are too afraid to give decisions against the home team, because they're too afraid of causing riots. We obviously heard that thing happening before where Mike Dean, I think it was, who said, oh, I couldn't put my mate in that situation to giving a certain penalty or something like that. Like, it's too much of just fear of being, like, scrutinized and in not doing their jobs properly, because the only reason in my eyes that this penalty gets given is because the one against Salah doesn't get given. And the Liverpool fans are pissed off because the one against Salah doesn't get given. Admittedly, in my head, I think that if he has been touched like that and he's dived to the floor in that dramatical way, it's not a penalty. I don't think the Salah one was a penalty. I think he should be booked for that dive. Wasn't. Bit weird there. I think that, again, if you want to be consistent and you want to say that Sancho dived, then give him a card too. But you have to be consistent, and you weren't, because you said that that's not a penalty. But then the one where Levi Colwill is just trying to pass the ball and Jones runs in front of him and gets tapped gently on the shin is a penalty. And that bugs me, because, oh man, it's just... Again, it's just a consistency. I don't care if... I don't care if they give that as a foul or if they give that as a penalty. I really don't care. But you have to give both. You have to either give neither or give both. And they didn't. And it's annoying. The referee blowing the whistle at 7 minutes and 9 seconds after they wasted about, let's say, 2 or 3 of the added minutes, I would say, with the ball out of play, whilst Gusto is about to cross the ball into the box, is a bit weird too. We saw Darwin Nunez not get booked for a silly play acting dive onto the floor, and then subsequently get booked about 30 seconds later, which would have seen him sent off, and he didn't get sent off. We see the spats that happen between I think it's Kanate and Jackson that kind of goes out. We see Jackson getting himself yellow carded for doing something stupid as well, as usual. I just thought I'd point that out. Well, there was another one. That was another one that really bugged me. I'm trying to think of what it was. I think it was at the end of the game where Badiashile gets penalised for a push on Salah, I think it is, when he literally doesn't even have hands on him. Nunez just wanted to start fights, let's be honest. That's the reason why he got put on. He got put on to disrupt things, and he did his job well. I don't agree with it. I think it's fucking stupid. I think the referees really need to get a hold of this game, get a grip of these big games more. I don't think they did their jobs very well today, but as I said, I don't think that we were good enough today to earn ourselves the game, but there we go. That's the way the cookie crumbles in these types of games. But yeah, I think that I think this was a winnable game in truth, and it's annoying because I said it was one of those things where we were evenly matched up until the big decision happens, and as soon as they get their penalty and they get ahead, it just gives them the wind in their sails, and we don't have the wind in our sails, and we get deflated, and then we lose. It's just, yep, as you said there. On to the next one. We have to go to the Conference League, I believe is our next game. I'll quickly check what that is. And then after I do that, we will run the poll. Actually, I can set the poll up now. Let's set the poll up. Let's do the True Blue. I'm going to be putting in Jackson, Caicedo, and Neto. Caicedo. Is there anyone else? Because I do have another option. Does anyone else want to? Is there anyone else that we want to put in here before I put this up? Lavia, I think Lavia's a very good shout, actually, yeah. Lavia's a very good shout. He did only play 45 minutes or thereabouts, but I think he was very, very good. Let's start the poll. Those are your decisions. Those are your options. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee whilst you vote for that. If you're a channel member, you can spam the no bald emote. I think we have. I think that's one of the ones I have on here anyway. Do we have the no bald emote? Yeah, we do. There we go. Yeah. As I said, this is there we go, Crimson Nose. This is one of those games where it's just going to be like, as I said, I am too frustrated to give objective analysis for this game, which I'm usually able to do. I'm usually able to overcome that that kind of annoyance at things going our way, but this is such a big game and such a, as I said, it was such a measuring stick for us and how far we've come, and for us to come out with not even a point is really, really annoying. I might do a tactical review of this game, but again, it's one of those things where I don't think it really was down to tactics, if I'm being honest. I think it was just down to us making individual mistakes, Curtis Jones being an absolute world beater in this game, and again, just a silly penalty call not going our way. And that's kind of we have to go. And this is the thing, it's like the reason why I was so frustrated and the reason why I really wanted us to get a result here, because this is, I genuinely believe this was our toughest test out of the games that are coming up. We have so many big teams coming up, but all of the big teams I feel like we have a good chance against, except for Liverpool. Liverpool were the ones that I was scared of, and we didn't get a result. So if we could have got the result here, we could have pushed on with confidence and kind of gone on to that. Our next game is match day 2 of 6 in the Europa Conference League against Panathinaikos on Thursday the 23rd of October, which is in 4 days time. It's a 5. Well, that's a really weird kickoff time. 5:45 kickoff. So the match preview for that will come out on the Wednesday. Should come out at 7 p.m. at the latest. I usually like to schedule them for 7, but as I did with this last preview, I sometimes, if I get it out quick enough, then I will I'll upload it a little bit faster. But yeah, there we go. This was a frustrating game, but yeah, let's end the poll. I think we've decided it's Caicedo, I believe. Yep, 60% for Caicedo. We'll put him in the true blue column. I should mention as well, I'll briefly say this because I didn't mention him. Cole Palmer, bit of a suspect game from him. I don't think he was really given the ball much, but there we go. It would feel weird if I didn't mention Cole Palmer this entire time, but there we go. Thank you guys for hanging out as usual. As I said, I will be back on this channel on the Wednesday at some time. Latest probably going to be 7 p.m. Thank you guys for sticking around for the stream and for being being my agony aunts and uncles, should I say, for me venting about this game. But there we go. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's remove that. Let's hit the outro as usual. As I said this at the start on my Twitter, you might have seen. Win, lose or draw, we always, as King Archer has just said, let's redo that. We keep the blue flag flying high. There we go. Christ, I'm all out of sorts of this one, aren't I? I'll hit the outro. You guys have a lovely evening, and I'll be active on the Twitter and possibly in the community posts as well in the coming hours. So stay tuned for that. I'll speak to you guys later. And that was just my Feeling Blue match review for this game. I hope to see you here for the next one. But if you can't wait until then, YouTube reckons you'll enjoy one of these 2 videos on screen in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for watching as ever, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues.